Hey everybody, welcome to We've Got the Beat. I'm Michael, that's Mindy.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, short and sweet.
I like it.
We are now into the summer and might as well start talking about movies that take place during the summer. I think we're running a little dry though on the summer movies.
Yeah, I don't know. We might come up with a few more, but if we only do a couple, who cares? There's plenty of good movies to talk about that don't have to be on a theme.
Yeah. Did we ever do summer school? I can't remember.
I didn't. I don't believe I did.
Huh.
You might have done it for a different show.
Okay. I was just curious because I'm trying to think about, for us, like the big thing was summer of '87. Like, because we had Back to the Beach, Revenge of the Nerds 2, Summer School, Lost Boys feels like a summer movie, which it may in fact be.
Yeah.
Monster Squad always feels like a summer movie. And then, what's A Hot Pursuit with John Cusack, the movie that no one remembers. We watched it like a million times. That seems like peak 80s summer. And people are kind of obsessed with not only like California or New England summer, these resorts. We've seen so many movies about this kind of thing.
That is a good point.
Definitely the 80s. I don't know if it's like all filmmakers spent their summers in these two places. I don't know.
I don't know if they spent time on them or just idealized them.
Yeah, I particularly enjoy movies that are set at like resorts or amusement parks, Adventureland being probably the peak of those. What is the one that came out with Johnny Knoxville a couple of summers ago, or it was longer than that, where it was an amusement park? Action Point. I love that shit. Someone just informed me that Diamond Jim's, where we grew up, closed down years ago, and for some reason, I completely erased the existence of that place. Do you remember that?
Because we never actually went there.
Yeah, didn't it always seem like it was one of those things that was kind of, it's behind a big wall and all these trees or whatever. We're not allowed in.
It's entirely elusive. Yes, exactly.
But we had other places, like we had Indiana Beach and stuff like that. But it's just so funny when you lock in on a certain resort or a place. There's camp movies too, which have a little bit of that feel.
Yeah, there's always something that's like, it's not exactly the concept of exclusivity, but it's, there is definitely something special about the, being captured. I mean, that captured sounds negative, but, in one place at a certain time that is, unique and special or whatever.
Yeah, or just because you get to go away from your normal world for just a little bit of time. And I would be more interested in seeing a movie from the perspective of someone who is a townie. And they have to deal with a lot of... They do a little bit of it in The Great Outdoors, but that's such a small part. I want to see the focal point of the person who has, like, new people every summer. Who the hell are these people? They don't really matter.
I feel like that was... I mean, I could definitely be wrong because I don't really, truly remember this movie that well, but it seems like maybe the movie, like, Summer Catch was like that. Do you remember that one?
I even own it, but I haven't watched it in forever. That could very well be. Yeah, that's right, because Jessica Biel is the local girl, right? And everybody else is coming for a baseball camp. Yeah, okay.
I think so, but again, I haven't seen that movie in a super long time. But I do think that there are more summer movies than we think about, but sometimes they're like sports or something else is like the dominant thing over the fact that it's taking place during summertime. But I think if we could probably come up with some stuff.
This has to be put on Front Street before we go any further with Ping Pong Summer. Is this kid intentionally bad, or is he just bad and everybody else is good?
You mean a bad actor or bad at ping pong?
No, a bad actor. I don't know if they intentionally have him play it like... there's a lot of lower budget movies that were in the 80s where the lead actor has the right look or he has the ability to do something but is a god-awful actor. And I'm trying to figure out if he's a bad actor intentionally or they or they cast a kid who's just terrible.
My theory is that it's intentional to kind of try to capture the essence of the 80s movies because all the other casting is like really good, like way better than it should be, kind of.
Yeah, it's him and his best friend. His best friend is really likable and charming, and he's spitting out dialogue, but I don't believe the dialogue that he's saying. And so I just kept thinking,
yes, I know exactly what you mean. It's like I have the exact same feeling about Alexis Bledel in Gilmore Girls, that she's just saying lines.
Oh, it's impossible for me to watch Dawson's Creek now.
It's not believable at all.
Yeah, Dawson's Creek makes me think that all the time. It's like, nope, they don't believe a word they're saying.
Yeah.
So with this movie, it is set I think 84, 85, where just as breakdancing is literally jokingly breaking out, and it's part of the plot, and it's so strange. This movie feels like, and I think it was intended to be, a movie that was shot in 1985 and then lost for decades, and you're just, like, they're just archiving it now. Like, oh my god, we found this old movie, and we're gonna,
wow. Found in the vaults.
Yeah, I always had a dream of
entertaining garbage.
Yeah, I had a dream of doing a movie like that, but more of like the mockumentary of making of a movie in the 80s, where it was like, oh, I wanted to make the last great practical effects sci-fi movie, before CGI took over. And it was from a little independent company, and the kid, whatever, was working on it, and he was never able to finish it. Because he died really young. And the whole thing is about his family getting together and finishing the film for, whatever, and the making of that. But then I find out that there really is a movie like that. I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a segue. Just a whole different path here for a second. There's a movie called Prime Evils, which was filmed in 94 or 95 by Dave Allen. Dave Allen is the stop-motion guru after Ray Harryhausen. He did all the stuff like the Star Wars movies and the Explorers and Batteries Not Included, stuff like that. And so he got like $10 million to do his dream project, and he would work on it slowly here and there between projects. And then he got cancer and died. And the movie sat in a vault for 25, 30 years, and they just finished it. So I feel like my dream of a movie, that is the reality. Like, oh my god, they actually had something just like that. The last stop-motion animation movie, and it just got released.
Well, I hope that it isn't terrible. When they kind of pull things out of, like, oblivion, and you're like, oh... let's say, sorry, words are hard.
I have one.
The book that was written by, what's her name?
You mean Cuckoo's Nest? Or not Cuckoo's Nest. One Flew Over the... What is it? To Kill a Mockingbird.
It's the one with, like, the lawyer, and they made a movie with Gregory Peck.
Yeah. To Kill a Mockingbird.
Boo Radley. What the fuck? You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so, like, all those years and years and years and years and years after that book, and she died, they're like, oh, we found this book. Whatever. But it was a total cash grab, and it was a disappointing piece of garbage that she would have been so disappointed ever saw the light of day.
Yeah. David Carradine made a movie in like 1970 called Americana, and he couldn't finish it till 1982, and he aged a lot in that time. And then they went to do reshoots. I'm like, oh, you don't look 30 anymore.
Yeah, that stuff's hard.
Okay, so let's focus on the movie. So this is definitely the closest thing I can say this is a spoof of is probably Karate Kid.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely feels like intentional, like...
Oh, absolutely. Everything is intentional, except I'm just still not sure. Yeah, unless that kid is truly good at being terrible, because he has this blankest stare on his face.
I mean, he's like, what is wrong with him? There's something off about that kid, but I don't know what.
Yeah. The girl in it looks like she's 35, by the way. I think that's intentional as well.
And the fact that she's like, he thinks that she's like snorting something. She's just like Pixie. She's high on sugar all the time.
Yeah.
And they made it seem so mysterious and dangerous.
Pixie Sticks found its way into both movies. So it's a ping pong championship. This kid comes into town. He's just learning ping pong, and his parents are Leah Thompson and John Hanna, the next door neighbors. The wise. I love the spin that they do on the Mr. Miyagi. And that's probably why Susan Sarandon said yes for very little money. Is I get to play the guru who teaches, the master, but I'm a girl, and they didn't do that kind of shit back then.
And she was so, everyone in town was so scared of her. It was so weird.
Yeah.
I loved John Hanna so much. It was just like, he was like, he's like, what, a state trooper or something? So they drive the trooper car, and the caveat is like, if there's an emergency, he has to stop and help, but that's how he, like, saves on gas money. And that was based on real. That was based in truth.
Wow.
Because the guy's dad was really like a Scottish like state trooper. He really did that when they went on vacation. What a weird thing to actually be a true element of the story.
Yeah, well, that's what makes certain elements of movies the best, is when they're based on something from your real life that just absolutely cannot be made up. And in it, they have the full-on cliche of the sidekick guy who's even more obnoxious than the bad guy, and he fucking plays it to the hilt. I don't know who that kid is, but he killed me because he was playing it so big and so... almost as if he was a human puppet.
That was some deep devotion. Like, he was straight up in love with that guy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And most of the money, besides the 3 actors they got to do for scale, the music. I'm shocked on a $1.5 million budget they were able to get clearance for all the games, the artwork. I mean, these days it costs a fortune just to get clearance for that, and the songs. It is truly a love letter to, like, movies like Rad and Thrash and Karate Kid, No Retreat, No Surrender, like that very particular era of mid-'80s teen movies.
Well, also the kid's name was actually Rad.
Yeah. Wait, in real life?
His name was Rad.
Yeah, but not in real life, right?
No, I mean, his character's name is Radical Miracle.
I know,
what the fuck is that?
So fucking funny. Bradley.
Oh, so
and just
dumb.
The worst ping pong playing you've ever seen in your life. And like, he's amazing. He's a champion. And then, yeah. It's a very particular tone, and you have to deeply appreciate it. I feel like it has a little bit of like trying to be a Napoleon Dynamite feel to it, like just awkward and weird. There's a really funny movie called Roller Town out of Canada, which is kind of like this, but it's like between 2 rival disco roller skating guys in the 1970s, and it's really ridiculous.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh no, seriously, you'll love it.
Can't wait.
Okay, so there's not a whole lot to say about this movie. It's really easy to find, and it's a lot of fun if you like intentionally weird. It feels like it's on. If Tim and Eric had produced a movie and it was this, I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like don't have any expectations, and you're gonna have a ball.
Yeah.
It's so stupid, but it's so much fun.
Our second film, Staten Island Summer. Now, this one is the one that I'm shocked didn't get a bigger release, because you look at it on paper, it seems like it would have been in theaters. No, it never. It went straight to video, like straight to streaming.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had seen it around, just occasionally would see it here and there, but had not watched it until prompted.
Yeah.
I'm not. It was. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a good movie. I wouldn't say it's a bad movie either. It's just okay.
Well, what's interesting to me is this is a Saturday Night Live movie. It essentially, it doesn't have the SNL studios.
Which is even weird. Even weirder that not that many people have seen it or heard of it.
Yeah, it looks like one of the very first movies that it's normal now, especially post-COVID, for a studio to sell a movie to a streaming site, because they're not sure if it'll make money, or it's low budget enough that they can make it back by just selling it over. So it was released digital download on June 30th, then a month later it was available on Netflix. So I'm guessing Netflix probably paid for the whole production just so they could have the exclusive streaming rights for a long time.
I see.
So this is loaded to the gills with that my favorite era of SNL. I know everybody my age always worships the early '90s, the frat pack era. No, mine is like the late 2000s, early 2000s, and it has Moynihan, Michael Bryan, Will Forte, Fred Armisen, Cecily Strong, Kate McKinnon. I think that's everybody. It's produced by Lorne.
I mean, there's a couple, like, obviously Colin Jost shows up.
Yeah. I can't believe I didn't mention that. He wrote it.
I know. And, but even, and that's just listing the SNL people.
Yeah.
That's not to say all of the other ridiculous amounts of people that they got in this movie. Jim Gaffigan, Penny Marshall. This was the last movie that she was in. Gina Gershon in the neediest, most awkward role ever. And this kid, I've never seen or heard of this kid before, who played the sidekick best friend Frank. He should have been obnoxious, but somehow I just found him so endearing because they really did, like, even though he is the obnoxious sidekick, there are very endearing, very human characteristics that they gave him that I really appreciated, that made it more than just, there was more to this than just like a typical teen movie. Lots of like discussion about body issues and insecurities.
Yeah.
And
well, they clearly cast.
You don't often see.
They clearly cast him to be a Jonah Hill for the next generation. And
yes, but better than Jonah.
Yeah, it takes a while. At first, you're really fucking. I found him really fucking annoying for the first half of the movie, and then it starts to work its way out. I think the problem here is a lot of it is that Graham Phillips, the main kid, he just isn't strong enough lead. He's like an '80s generic lead where it just doesn't work and you forget about him. Like, look, I mean, he doesn't really work much now. There's something about him like, oh, he's sweet and he's good looking, but he doesn't have that thing that makes you a star.
Yeah, he does he's in tons of stuff, and I know him from The Good Wife.
Oh,
he was like on that show, and he had a pretty big role, but also it wasn't resting on his shoulders, you know?
You know who has a lot of personality and who could be a lead, but some reason hasn't been, is John DeLuca as the Italian, like, heartthrob. He was fucking hilarious.
I have no idea who he is.
Yeah, it just, for some reason, I kept, like, he's good looking, he's strong, and he's fucking hilarious. He should be, like, cast in more stuff, but I don't know if he has. I've never seen him either.
I liked how a lot of stuff didn't necessarily go the way that you expected it to.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah. It's pretty unpredictable. I mean, on the outside of it, it seems like a generic teen comedy that you would see like in the early '80s, like a Porky's. But it keeps going around what you expect, and like,
exactly.
Yeah. Can we give cred to Michael Bryan for being so brave to walk around in a banana hammock for the entire movie?
Oh my god, dude. I don't know who that guy is either, but man, he's somebody I love to hate.
Okay, so he was on one season of SNL. He was one of their main writers, and then he was convinced that he should try being in the cast for a year. He didn't like it, so Lauren let him go back to being one of the writers. I think he was head writer for a few seasons.
I see.
But just a ballsy, literally and figuratively, performance.
Agreed.
Yeah, and Moynihan. How is Moynihan not bigger? I think he's so damn funny. For some reason, he has never broken out.
Why isn't Cecily Strong bigger?
Yeah, it's a whole cast. Here's the thing is, we had so many stars for so long come out of SNL, even like lower tier, like Rob Schneider and David Spade.
I know!
Getting studio films as leads. And none of these guys really seem to be interested in being a lead, even though they could clearly... Kristen Wiig could have done 30 movies by now as a lead. But it seems like the newer generation of SNL guys are more interested in creating their own thing. You know, that's why you have Bill Hader and... Ted Lasso, what's his name? Jason Sudeikis. You know, guys like who clearly look like they should be starring in, you know, $30 or $40 million mid-tier comedies, whatever. And no, they just go over to cable and create their own thing.
But straight up, it's some of the best shit
Yeah,
I've ever seen
yeah.
in my life.
They could have been like someone who just did 4 or 5, like Chris Kattan, and didn't just disappear. But no,
Yeah.
they're actually taking control of their careers. Are they getting the big paychecks? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, but you're right, doing like more fun things that I hope that means that, they're having more control over things like, Cecily Strong being in Schmigadoon, which is so weird and so quirky and so not really mainstream.
Yeah, yeah.
And Barry, which is, one of the best things that's ever existed in this realm of the universe. And with Kristen Wiig, I mean, Barb and Star, Buena Vista Del Mar, is like the funniest fucking movie I've seen in my whole life.
I still haven't seen it.
This stuff is quality, and I just wish that they, would maybe get more of the audience that they deserve.
Yeah.
But you're right, they're definitely choosing to go a different path. But this was a really, really solid, strong, you're right, this era is great of SNL actors. Fantastic.
Yeah, and just I remember like for a long time there, Lorne Michaels was trying to get properties, sketch characters turned into franchises. Yeah. I mean, it only happened really once with Wayne's World, and that was only for 2 movies. But it seemed like it was a thing for a long time, and he has not really bothered, with the exception of MacGruber. That's it. We haven't had anything in almost 25 years.
And, well, none of it went super great, so it's kind of understandable that he just let it go.
You caught me gulping, sorry. So the whole plot of the movie is basically like, it's the end of summer, they want to get together for one big party, but the boss doesn't want them to, and basically just like these little events that build up towards that big party are a lot more interesting, I think, than the party itself. Fred Armisen, that little kid from Bad Grandpa and Fun Size, are my favorite part of this. There's no reason why these two should be working together at all. In fact, the little guy, he's not an employee. He just happens to be around all the time and up to shenanigans. And they bring out the flamethrower.
I absolutely love that little fucking kid. He's so weird and so hilarious.
Yeah. It's just filled with, I think what you need to watch the movie for are the performances, not so much the whole movie overall, because it's more vignettes, and some vignettes are funnier than other. Yeah, I thought the whole mafioso thing was really boring. The whole main story I thought was really dull. All the side stuff is really entertaining.
Yeah, it's really weird, and it kind of does feel sort of like those TV shows and stuff where the side characters are so much more interesting and likable than the main character. I mean, I didn't dislike him. He just was, you're right, just sort of meh. But everything else that was going around him, even his like parents and their weirdness, was just so worth the time.
I guess this is a shorter episode, so I apologize, everybody. I'm kind of pooped. And, so yeah, I highly recommend both for totally different reasons. There's a weirdness in Ping Pong Summer that you just have to see to really get. And then Staten Island Summer is just one of those where you can't believe it went straight to video, like especially 10 years ago. Or straight to streaming, I guess is what I should say. It's normal now. But back then, it seemed like kind of an odd thing to do. You think it would at least released it like, like a late August, something like that. And just for whatever reason, they just said, nah, we're good.
And if for no other reason, go watch it for Method Man and his little cameo.
That was so funny. He thinks he's trying to...
He always fucking cracks me up, the things he chooses to do,
the whole thing about trying to get weed from him, and they're all like... fucking with him because he assumes...
So
yeah, the ice cream trucks, they all sell drugs, and he's such an idiot that he believes that. And, snort this so we can trust you. And he's like, you just snorted pixie sticks. Ugh, that's crazy.
So good.
I imagine that would burn so bad.
Oh, snorting anything's a bad idea.
Yeah. Except nasal spray. You know where I can score some?
Oh my gosh.
That's a Better Off Dead reference if no one caught that. Alright, so that is it, everybody. Thank you. I apologize for being short, but that's what it is. Ba-doom, boom, boom.